Alrighty. I've calmed down a little bit from Saturday, so I'm more level-headed to film this video. In my whole time supporting West Ham, I have watched the games on streaming services that I pay for here in Canada. Saturday's game was the first time ever in my time supporting West Ham that I've turned a game off during the match. First time I've ever done that because I was so angry and annoyed. The fans who went to that game as well aren't even going to get their money back for watching that. You'd think they'd get their money back, wouldn't you? For watching that absolutely embarrassing performance. I have not felt this angry about watching West Ham for, well, about 4 years, in all honesty. I have not had to get this pissed off for so long and this irritated. You look at all those fans who travelled down to Brighton. Some people even made longer journeys to get there. They're leaving angry. They've got every right to be angry and pissed off at this. Because it's an absolute freaking joke. Everything about West Ham United Football Club is a joke. It's been a laughingstock for ages. I don't think that just because we qualified for Europe for 2 seasons, that those problems have just magically gone away, because they're still there. We just haven't had an opportunity to rant about them because of how well the club was doing in the league. It just papered over everything. But everything at this club needs to change. It is a top-down thing, as we know. We've known that for a long time. We have David Sullivan as chairman. You've got David Moyes as your manager. And you have a captain who doesn't really have the leadership qualities that we need. And let's be real. Just because his name's Declan Rice and just because he's loved by the fans, don't mean that I can't slag him off as a captain. Because I don't think he has the leadership quality. I'm going to say something that's going to get you all riled up, but I would rather trust Aaron Cresswell or Angelo O'Bonnell with the captain's armband. Why? Because they're more mature, they have been in the game longer than Rice, and they show more leadership quality than him. Possibly. Some of the players we have got in this team are absolutely abysmal, and we call ourselves the 12th richest club in the world. Is this really justifiable? Is this really justified? No, it's not. These players are a joke to this club. They embarrass themselves. Seriously, don't step on that pitch wanting to play for that shirt, because that badge and those colours and this club should mean something to you. It's about the pride and tradition of West Ham United Football Club. And the people before you, players, who built this club on its foundation. And you lot are just taking the absolute piss out of it. There are players in this team that do not deserve to wear the shirt at all. At all. Bowen, I'm really sorry to say it, but on that game on Saturday, he was absolute shit. He was absolute pile of crap. He got abused by Brighton's defence. Can't finish at all anymore. It seems like he's been a one-season wonder. There was only one season. All that one season wonder did was get him linked to Liverpool, but it seems to have gone to his head a bit. And now he's absolute dog shit. You know, that's what's up. It's exactly what's up. As well, other players in that team were really bad. Ben Johnson, I'm sorry, man. I know he's still fairly inexperienced. He hasn't really been in the team as long as others, but my God, 3 of those goals were his fault. They really were his fault. It's comical as frick defending. Especially when that second goal went in. 7 players in the box and all crowded in one little bit. And Ben Johnson's not even in front of Veltman to defend that ball. He's absolutely bloody useless. I don't care that he played well against Man United. The guy's crap. Yeah, we have other players in this team who are bad, like Antonio. Man, I've always got respect for Mikel Antonio because he's been one of the best players of my generation at West Ham. But you wouldn't freaking believe it after how he's been playing this season, would you? Yet think he was an absolute pile of wank. He is not good enough for this club anymore. You see, we wanted change at this club. We wanted fresh ideas and new things. But the whole thing just needs to come down and start from scratch again. We need to get like a chairman in, someone like what Terry Brown was in those days. Because the whole thing is an absolute mess right now. It finished Brighton 4, West Ham United 0. We beat Nottingham Forest 4-0 last week. So that's undone that goal difference. We're back on -10. And we're 1 point from the drop, I believe. It's all right saying spend a load of money on new players, but money's not fixing anything. What's money going to fix when you've got a manager who's too arrogant to change things and won't admit to his own mistakes, but instead just asks for the backing of the fans? We're not going to back you anymore, David. We're not. We can't defend you. You've lost our respect over time. And the owners still continue to back him. And that's arguably even worse. That's arguably even worse, man. But of course they would back him. That's the problem with this football club. It really is the problem with this football club. Is that there's no leadership. There's no one at this club who's got the balls or the guts to do anything. At all. Brighton is a properly run football club. It's a model club. It's got a clear identity in its team. Great pressing. Good in the final third. Communication in its midfield. And good defence. It's got excellent players. It doesn't spend money stupidly. It's got an owner that really cares about the club. It's a model football club for others to follow. West Ham used to be that in the 70s and the 80s, but it's deteriorated so rapidly over the years. Nobody wants to do business with West Ham. No one wants to take West Ham seriously. In fact, when we go to play other teams are rubbing their hands and they're thinking to themselves, oh, we've got West Ham this weekend. You know, we can get an easy 3 points against this lot. That's an insult to our club. That is an insult to our club. No one takes us seriously. No one sees us as a threat. 2 years ago, people were seeing us as a threat. Counter football, good football, scoring goals. We're bottoming nearly every statistic 2 years later. It doesn't seem that long ago that we were beating Seville 2-0 at London Stadium. We were knocking out Lyon. And we were all so proud and saying, yeah, West Ham's back. It's not back. Nothing lasts forever. The dream faded and died. Just like the frigging song says, I like my dreams, they fade and die. The fortune's always hiding. Where's the fortune? We still haven't uncovered it. Have we? And the fortune is in David Sullivan's pockets, which are all lined up full of cash. And that's the only reason why he's going to try and avoid relegation. It's not to sack the manager, it's because he just doesn't want to lose a load of money. But if relegation means that he sells the bloody club to Kretinsky, I'm all for that. Kretinsky's talking about buying David Gold shares anyway. What are these players even thinking about? Skamaka, Paqueta, Agard must be wondering, what the frickin' hell have I got myself into? What was I sold? What was the sales pitch for this club to me? And I'm just being treated like dirt by this manager. Alex Krall even said that the manager has no people skills. He's got no man management on an individual level. The manager's someone you go to because he is someone you can trust. He's a senior figure who you can look as a motivator or as a good example or as just someone who can console you. Moyes doesn't do that with his players. He doesn't throw down the gauntlet with them. It's the same thing every week from David and Declan, innit? Oh, well, we just want the fans to trust what we're doing. I don't trust what you're doing, though. How can I trust what you're doing? You just sit back and let them into you. And that's how we can see goals. There's no urgency. There's no concern, Moisey. Is there? Declan Rice as well. He's another one who, apparently because his name's Declan Rice and he's West Ham's golden boy, right? Apparently that means that I can't criticise him. Well, I bloody can. And I will. Because he was dog shit against Brighton. He really was. That man is not a leader. He's not a Mark Noble. He's not a Bobby Moore. He's not a Di Canio. None of you West Ham players right now are any of those. You have no right to compare yourselves to them. You cannot amount to what they were. And Declan Rice, you cannot be the leader Mark Noble was. He's done a lot for you. I respect that he's done a lot for you. He gave you guidance. You look up to him. He's a great example of a man and a footballer. You can continue to idolise him. I have no problem with that. But you have not got his leadership qualities. You know why? Because you don't ever accept responsibility. You wallow in self-pity. You got a woe is me attitude. Your body languages are like, yeah, you know, we're down. Oh, and if the fans really knew what they're talking about, they're experts, they're beyond the pitch. Don't you dare. Are you throwing the fans under the bus now, you prick? Seriously. I'm going to call you that because that's a really prick thing to do. To say to the fans, oh yeah, well you've got your opinion, you come down on the pitch and you sort it out. Who do you think you're talking to? We've given you a lot. We've given you respect. When you made that error against Arsenal in April 2018 and we lost 4-1 where you ducked and Arsenal scored the second goal in the game. We're all saying, keep your head up, mate. Keep your head up, mate. We're the first to praise you. We're the first to show love to you. You put in 7 out of 10 performances every week when your teammates don't. I always say that on my channel anyway about you, Declan. And I'm praising you. What the hell? Why are you turning on fans like this? Your body language is just looks like someone who can't be asked. So you're going to accept this, are you? If you want to move out the club, in that case, get the hell out in the summer. See, the problem with this club, right, it has no identity about it. We have managers come and go, and they don't change much in the long term. Like, we knew that when Sam Allardyce was leaving this club, we were good to get rid of him because we were sick of all the boring style of football that he had. And then we got in Slaven Bilic. We're like, okay, club legend, someone who understands West Ham and the West Ham way, because we talk about that all the time. The West Ham way, there's no real clear definition of it. Bilic brought in players that he liked and that he trusted, and he had a system in place. And it worked. He had depth. He had good options. He had players that could score goals in from different positions and in different ways. And he gave the bowling ground the send-off it deserved. First season at London Stadium, okay, we had some summer signings to make. The board bought in all these players, and a lot of them freebie cheap buys. And I felt sorry for him because the players we got and our depth, we had depth, but it wasn't good depth. Kayeri, Zaza, Emily Demilson, Fernandez, Sofiane Faguli, all those guys. Nordvai, they were all trash in the long run. 2017, okay, we have a decent transfer window. We're getting a lot of players then. But still, that's when things started to go sour for him. Bilic just lost all respect and didn't go when he could have. And he was very negative by saying, oh yeah, the board fires me, the board fires me. I don't really care what happens right now. And he got sacked. And when Bilic left West Ham, we knew that he was going to go. The board had to bring someone in. They could have shown a bit of ambition then. They could have gone for someone like Ancelotti, Koeman, Mancini. Someone like that. But they got in David Moyes. And, okay, fair enough, he kept us up. He got the best out of Marko Arnautovic. But he was so negative with his tactics. Constantly playing 5 at the back. I was glad to see Moyes gone. Then Pellegrini came in with Mario Huselos and we made all those signings. We spent nearly over 200 million in 2 summers. Pellegrini, a manager who's managed Real Madrid, Villarreal, Manchester City. He's got some of the top jobs in world football that you just don't get for nothing. They're not entry-level management jobs. We're thinking, oh, this is going to be a great manager to have. Great first season under Pellegrini, but still not an excuse not to spend. Things went horribly wrong in the 1920 season. The board took a long time to sack him as well. And they reappointed David Moyes, and we're thinking, oh, for God's sake. Apparently the players wanted him back. To be honest, Moyes needed to stabilise the club again. So he brought in Thomas Souček and Jared Bowen. Two good options that helped us to stay up. Miguel Antonio was amazing during that lockdown restart. Scoring for fun. Moyes did get the best out of those players in that time. We needed serious reinvestment. Moyes, we know, doesn't like working with a big squad. He didn't like to do that. But 2020-21 season was one of the best yet. West Ham broke its Premier League record. Points tally, qualified for Europe. Jesse Lingard, 9 goals in 16 games during his loan spell. 21-22, we kept crying out, we need a striker, we need a striker, we need a striker. We never got it in that window. We brought in Zuma, Vlasic, Kral, Areola. Zuma immediately was getting praise for the way he changed our defence. We beat teams like Chelsea and Liverpool. We knocked Man City out of the League Cup on penalties. Beat Man United at Old Trafford in the League Cup as well. We didn't spend any money in January out on Moyes' arrogance because he kept saying the same thing. I want the right players, I'm happy with the squad I got. That you cannot be happy with that squad you've got when you've only got one striker, Mikel Antonio. Mate, you cannot tell me you were happy with that squad, Moisey. And slowly, things started to disintegrate at this point. It was okay because we were still in the European place, but things started to disintegrate. I said we were playing tedious football. We weren't playing anything to excite me. I trickled through into 2022-23 season. Okay, we spent massively. Aguerd, Skamaka, we broke the record fee to sign Paqueta. Areola signed permanently. Who else? We got in Flynn Downs. As well, Palmieri, Emerson. Well, Emerson, Cornet. Has anyone I've missed out of that? Is that everyone? Yeah, I think that's everyone. We got Danny Ings in January as well and broke our wage structure to sign a 30-year-old. That's had injury problems. What the frick are we doing? Only at West Ham could we do stupid things like that. But with Moyes, we saw holding back football. If we're trying to be possession-based, we're crap at it. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing? It can't go on. See, teams around us, they change their manager. Wolves change the manager. And they'll stay up, no problem. Villa changed the manager. They'll stay up, I think. Leeds changed manager. They're trying to stay up. But they did something about Jesse Marsh's poor form. They got rid of him because they had to. They probably didn't want to, but they had to. Because the results were most important, and those are going to determine whether you keep your job or not. We'll talk about the game a little bit. Areola was in goal. Bonnet, Aguerd, Emerson and Johnson in the defence. Souček, Rice, Paqueta, Bowen, Benrahma and Ings. No Antonio at all, and Corey didn't even make the bench. Brighton just got through so easily. Johnson was passive. He wasn't alert to the ball. And we couldn't connect to full flow in the attack. We actually had less than 70 passes in that first half. That's probably going to be a Premier League record for the lowest amount of passes completed in the first half. Brighton had over 300 passes completion, which is what you should be getting. Bowen found Matoma, conceding a penalty. McAllister scored it. Get Johnson off and put bloody Zuma on is what I was thinking. Moyes had every right to look mad. And I actually was, for 1 minute, I was actually sympathising with him and thinking, oh, you've actually set up a decent team there, David. So yeah, I can tell why you're pissed. Joe Bowen has a good chance to score, but he fires it straight at Jason Steele. And that's not even their first choice goalkeeper, by the way. Bowen last season scores that. What the hell's wrong with him? He could have passed it to Ings either. Ings was free, but no. Brighton were playing in third gear all that game, and it didn't even have to get out of third gear because West Ham wasn't a threat. It was too easy for him. Emerson was going forward. I'm thinking, bloody hell, you're alive. The midfield was disjointed and didn't work well. Paqueta needed to play a lot higher up, but he didn't. That wasn't the worst result possibly at half-time. We have not got a good track record against Brighton, but that wasn't the worst possible result. We still had a chance. 1-0 down, we still had a chance. Second half, Sai Benrahma was the best of a bad bunch, but he still took him off and put on Pablo Fornals. 2-0 really was another nail in the coffin, because Joel Veltman was given so much time to head this in. Ben Johnson's not even in front of him trying to defend it. It's like, oh, yeah, bye. Head it freely. First time Brighton scored from a corner since they played West Ham last season, and the first time West Ham's conceded from a corner this season. I get we don't have a good record against Brighton, but that still doesn't cover the fact that we bloody let them in that easily. And again, he started an attack which Matoma got the ball, and Areola was forced to save it. We don't move the ball forward, we're not clinical, and we don't shoot at goal. And goals are going to win you games. Brighton's fast movement didn't let West Ham go forward at all. And then we're 2-0 down, and Moyes makes changes. Oh, no, he doesn't make an attacking change. He puts on Bonner on for Zuma. You're making a defensive change. What are you doing, Moisey? 3-0 was just too bloody easy. Too bloody easy tapping for Mitoma. The players just could not be asked. And then only did Moyes decide to put on Downs and Lanzini. What are they going to do in the last few minutes? Skamaka was on the bench. Why? And he could have come on and done something. What's Skamaka done wrong? Is it because Danny Ings is more of your kind of player, David? Or what? He's English? I don't want to put... I'm not trying to put a race card or anything on this. I really am not, by the way. Is it because Ings is English and he's someone you've liked for a long time? Skamaka's not your kind of player? If I'm Skamaka, I'm pissing off in the summer. And I'm going to go somewhere where I can be used for my strengths, like Haller was. And Haller shit on us, didn't he, when he started scoring goals for Ajax and became one of the most clinical strikers in Europe, all from being a West Ham flop. Because only this club can cause people to deteriorate, cause them to get injured and cause them to digress. I guarantee most of these players go to another club. They will become superstars. 4-0 when Welbeck scored in the 90th minute. David Moyes, you bloody dinosaur, go back on set with Jeff Goldblum and Richard Attenborough on the set of Jurassic Park and say hi to Steven Spielberg for me. Them lot can pay your wages. That whole franchise can pay your wages. This club calls itself a big club. What do you mean by a big club? What, because of what we did in the 70s and even the 60s, 80s, and because we have Bobby Moore, Jeff Hurst and all those legends? This club is not a big club. We're a average to poor below par club. With below par attitude, a below par mentality. Sullivan needs to get gone. He's an relegation expert. 30 years management in football. With the late David Gold and Karen Brady. What did they achieve at Birmingham? They caused hostility. Steve Bruce kept his job there for so many years because they never had the bollocks to fire him. The relegation specialists. And Moyes, absolute cowardice, end of the game. He didn't even come and thank the fans. Emerson came over to the fans and actually tried to thank them. And that was brilliant from him, at least. Showing a bit of respect and appreciation. But Rice pissed off. Moyes pissed off. A lot of those players just pissed off. And they go on social media saying, oh yeah, we're sorry, we need to bounce back. I bet on Monday it's going to be saying preparing for Europe. Or something like we move on. We don't move on because we don't forget. And we don't forgive. Inept performances. I can see protests coming back against that Villa game. It's going to turn very toxic if we go 1-0 down. Be like Burnley all over again. But it might be necessary. Because change is needed. Because I only dream of being at Brighton's level or being even run like Brighton is. I can only dream of that. And the day that actually comes to my football club will be probably the day I stand naked in the frigging windows at Hudson's Bay or something. That's the Canadian Debenhams for those who don't know. Absolute liberty. It's an absolute liberty. That's what it is. We can't sweep the club problems under the carpet. We're not sweeping them under the rug. The club is no better off than what it was 2 years ago. Once Sullivan goes, we can change things. We can get better, I think. But I don't want any more of these projects that we keep having, because we have projects with no clear long-term plan. It's only nice to hear about. Just don't know what to think anymore. If we go down, I'll be sad, I'll be devastated. But it might be the best thing for us. And it clears out some of the shit we've got in this team. Half of that team will go. Well, over half. I think about 70% of those players will piss off. I wish them the best of luck wherever, because they don't probably deserve to be in this heap of crap. They deserve better for themselves, to better their careers. There's nothing good about West Ham. It's not a nice place for you to play. And I'm sorry if you want to hear that, guys. Any footballers wanting there, please don't come to our club. The fans will love you, and the fans will always respect you. But you have a crap manager, a crap ownership. You have a training ground, which is basically porta cabins and has no real investment. Look at Leicester's new training ground. They're buzzing to come to that every day. We even had a training ground shown on Sky Sports News, and it showed how appalling the facilities were. And that's a Premier League club. There's League One teams that have better facilities than that are more up to date. How cheap and tacky can you really be? Don't come to West Ham. If you want a good career, don't come to West Ham. West Ham is the ruin of everyone. The fans will love you, but you might not feel the love within the club. And I wonder what you'll think about and talk about with your friends and family behind the scenes. I wonder what the players think of this club behind the scenes, actually. Be interesting to see someone expose it, because right now it is a joke. We are a joke, and things are not funny. I actually do despise this club at times, and you know, I wonder why I even bothered supporting it in the first frigging place.